Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League at Sesto Corsa Competizione. The final round takes us to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the United States of America. I'm Tom Kent at the commentary position. Yes, it's the 9th and final round of Season 11 of Taco Tuesday, and with the title already wrapped up in favour of Nico Busov. Pretty much everyone's game to end the season and 2023 on a high. Some may still be racing in other championships in the FRL before the year is out. I'm sure the likes of Will Freeman Co will want to end the season for convincing performance. As Will Freeman just going over the line there, although that's Nico Busov actually, who went to the top with a 1:35.6 in this practice session. It's under darkness here at Indianapolis. It's just making the most of the conditions at the moment. 24 drivers in the server right now, which is a few more than what we had last week. 25 did check in the last time I looked. There'll be a few more as the evening progresses. For 2024. Hypothetically speaking, the Taco Tuesday series will return in January. It's uncertain as to which date that will be as of yet. Busov in the number 95 Lamborghini. Busov has won Drivers' Championship. He is 32 points clear, but with the dropped points considered, to get a worse result than 4th place, then 4th place he had last week in Zandvoort will count towards the championship, which explains why it's mathematically impossible for Will Freeman to overcome him in the points. And given where Lamborghini are in the Manufacturers' Championship, that is also sealed in their favour with a round to spare. So congratulations to them on the achievement. This round, 99 points clear of Ferrari. Whilst first and second places are already decided in the Drivers' Championship, we've got Michael Kleiboer, Sean Cull, Mauro Arsenio, Morgan Grace, Jeffrey Godefroy, Arkadiusz Mihulka and Ben Milden, who all can still mathematically snatch 3rd place. So a total of 7 drivers in the run-in. Now, Michael Kleiboer, who did win the race on track last week in Zandvoort, only for a time penalty for a collision he had with Arkadiusz Mihulka, dropped him from the win to 3rd place, and Bas Brinkhoff, who would have inherited the victory, also picked up a penalty of his own, and because of that he dropped to 2nd, which meant that Melvin Kroes took his 1st win of the season. With that, moving up into 14th in the standings. To get another win tonight, he could move up as high as 7th, possibly, maybe 8th. Be a tall order, but anything is possible. We're into the last 12 minutes of practice, so I want to go on board with a driver that could take us around a lap of this circuit of Indianapolis. We'll go on board with Stuart Hutchison, who will take us on a tour of this Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the inner course. Right on board as he takes us on to the pit straight and up through the gears up to 6th, which is rare to do on these GT3s before the braking zone, and down to 1st gear goes Hutchison with 80 km an hour through the apex of 1, 100 km an hour through the apex of 2, then smoothly through turns 3 and 4. Nice and tight on the apex. He runs wide on the exit though, towards the hairpin of 6. 55 km an hour at the apex, keeps the car on the inside, nearly drops it though on the entry to 7. Able to apply the throttle to as much of a wide line as he can. You are supposedly able to do that on this game, weirdly. Be able to through turn 8 anyway, 2nd gear, and then it's a sweeping chicane of 9 and 10 using all the curb at 11. And up through the gears, through 12. No need to lift off the throttle here. Brake in a straight line for turn 13. And through 14 he goes. The sweeping right-hander of 15 before the pit straight rounds out a lap of this Indianapolis Motor Speedway circuit. 13th he goes, then goes Hutchison. Nice of him to take us on a tour. Going through there without too many errors. The Indy 500 is, well, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the home of the Indy 500. First time the Indy 500 was contested was in 1911. Just a few years before the First World War came around. And been very much the home for motorsport. One of the most prestigious events of the year. First 11 years of the Formula 1 World Championship, the Indy 500 was part of the World Championship. Standalone event. Grand Prix drivers. When IndyCar came around, they contested the Indy 500 under its series. Cash Neves, AJ Foyt, Rick Mears and Al Unser Sr. all won the Indy 500 4 times each. Troy Ruttman and Unser, Al Unser that is, Sr. youngest and oldest Indianapolis 500 winners at the age of 22 years and 80 days in 1952 and 47 years and 360 days in 1987. This Indy 500 was won by Joseph Newgarden. It was a long time coming for him to win the Indy 500. "26 drivers in the server now. This is more like the kind of numbers we were after. He had 22 last week in Zandvoort. Peter van Nyshout goes up into 5th place. He wasn't in last week, but he had been on a run of form in the rounds prior. Race shown some strong pace this season, 2 podiums. Wasn't around, I don't think, in Zandvoort, unless I'm mistaken. Wasn't around in Zandvoort. Race is coming round. He's 2 seconds off the pace to what Busov has posted. Melvin Kroes is doing well again in the number 23 Ferrari. He switched cars during the season, hence some of his points had to be expunged. Race makes his way into the pit lane. Just pardon me 1 minute and I'll be back to the mic in a sec. Apologies for that. Back to the action as we've got Demian van der Waal, who's in 5th place with 4 minutes remaining. He's hoping to just get a few more laps in. And it's been a respectable season on a high for the Dutchman. Michael Firth is coming in saying to shout out to the SBR guys. Thank you very much there, Michael. Make sure you like and subscribe in case you haven't already done so. Just over 900 subscribers. We'd love to make it 1,000 before the new year. Done so. In terms of subscribing, do make sure you press that subscribe button. Keep right up to date with all the action within the FRL. Nico Busov, seen time and time again this season, continuing his run of form. He's finished in the top 4 in every race this season, including last week in Zandvoort, which proved to be one of the most challenging races of his season. Leading the race for a lot of it, and then being on the wrong tyres, or his tyres just fading away quicker than anticipated. Seen him fall down the order. His 4th position was good enough to crown him the champion, with Freeman, who had to take a gamble to claw down the arrears in the championship. Fell back after a late puncher. Finished 18th. One driver who made an absolute brilliant performance on his debut was Juho Mäkinen in the 109 Ferrari. He towards the line now. He's nearly 7/10 off the pace. He looks to narrow that down. He's gone up to 5th place, ahead of van der Waal. 600s behind Will Freeman. They'll get another go at it. Is the gap between Busov and Kroos. 13 separated by just under 9/10. Chris Faster and Mauro Senio have yet to get a time on the board. First laps we're going to be seeing from them will be in qualifying. Mäkinen, who's aiming for redemption after the stop-go penalty he had during the Zandvoort race 7 days ago for speeding in the pit lane. Covered quite nicely actually. A respectable 10th place finish, I believe. At my notes, it was 9th in fact. 25 points he was able to collect. At the point system, in case you are wanting to know, 40 points for a win, 38 for 2nd, 36 for 3rd. It's a 2-point difference between each position down to 11th place, and then from 11th to 30th is a 1-point difference. You get 1 point for finishing in 30th, 31st or below, then it's no point. Got 26 drivers for tonight. As far as we know, the Czechoslovak is out. The session is coming to a close, and Nico Busov will be happy with his pace so far. At Connor Byers, and there's Ed Sterling aiming for another good result. Ed Sterling has actually been one of the most improved drivers during the course of the season, arguably. Didn't do that great in Zandvoort last week. Run of form in the rounds before, particularly at Watkins Glen. Very nearly could have won that race. at 4th by the end of it. Sean Cull is in yet. I don't think he is going to turn up, and if he's not, then that's his chance of finishing 3rd in the championship gone. Waiting for qualifying to begin. We are just waiting for the last drivers to complete their last laps. There's Murray Ganson, who's in 23rd place. Can he get an improved time on the board? We don't know for certain if he actually did improve at the end of that practice session. Did he go up the order? He went off to 20th place. Thankfully, it's daylight though for qualifying. 7 PM it is. The time lapse is twice as fast as what it is in real life. So when this qualifying session is done, it'll be around 7:30. Hoping that it's not going to be too dark before the checker flag, and then we'll hope to see how the race pans out. It could be like a day to night race if you want to put it in that. I personally would rather it be a day race. It's easier for me to see where the drivers are on track. It's Michael Kleiboer, who would have won the race. He did win on track in Zandvoort, but a time penalty for the contact with Achilles Mihalka at turn 9 had dropped him to 3rd retrospectively. Melvin Rose won the race ahead of Bas Brinkhoff and Kleiboer. An old Dutch podium in Zandvoort. Ask for a better podium if you're a Dutchman. And I've just been informed by Will Freemans that he and Nico Busov will both elect to start from the back of the grid. So they will not be setting lap times during this qualifying session. Or inform me on that there, Will. Top 2 in the championship. However, we'll start at the back. So we could well see a new name, although Juho Mäkinen, if there's anything to go by, so he's one of the favourites to take pole here. Although Melvin Kroes has been on the pace, ending the practice session in 2nd position. Kleiboer go over the line to start a lap now. Now the fastest time we saw in practice earlier was a 1:35.6, so that's the kind of lap time we are aiming for. Track temperature is 15 degrees, air temperature 15 degrees. No rain is expected for this session. No news in terms of what the season 12 calendar is going to be like. Had 4 seasons of Taco Tuesday in 2023. Seen some wonderful entertainment, and I'm sure we've seen some wonderful entertainment across the championships that have been held during the course of the last 12 months. Sensational effort by the admins within the FRL, who have been continuing to grow this special league across the motorsport community. To the stuff that's been done on SimGrid, satisfying the sponsors, satisfying the drivers, satisfying the commentators, including myself. But 900 subscribers on YouTube, as I've already mentioned, want to try and aim for 1,000 if possible before 2023 is out. Here comes Michael Kleiboer, who's going to set the first lap time of this qualifying session, and it's a 1:36.3. What about the driver behind him? That is Steve Caruana, who's going over the line. It's a 1:38.5. And we've seen Ben Milden go up to 2nd place ahead of him with a 1:37.1. Connor Byers now goes 2nd, 4/10 off the pace. Stuart Hutchinson going 3rd fastest though, ahead of Milden. Melvin Kroes' time wasn't validated unless he was on an outlap. So we're just looking to see who else is going to be completing a lap. This is Joel Leher in the 320 Ferrari. Godfrey goes up to P2. How does Leher get on here? He goes only 10th fastest, the slowest out of those who have set lap times. Matthias Dybel is 8th. We're looking at Kelvin Makowski, who's in 5th place. Damian van der Waal has got to 2nd place in the 433 McLaren. But Mahelka is able to go to the top, 136.3, narrowly ahead of Kleiboer, but the margin is enough. So the 41 Lamborghini driver, who came so close to taking victory in Zandvoort last week, laying down a glove on the others. But Mauro Senio is able to take that away from him with a 136.3. Now, Arsenio, who was on pole for the first 2 races of this season in Mount Panorama and Laguna Seca, been off form in the last number of races. Haven't been able to replicate the form that we saw at the opening round. It's still finished 3rd in the championship. He's only 3 points behind Michael Kleiboer, with Sean Kuhl not around this evening, presumably. He's got a chance to actually get up there in 3rd position ahead of Kleiboer. There's no points on offer for qualifying. Race is where it all matters. There's also a point up for grabs for the driver who sets the fastest lap. Kleiboer is able to go back to the top with 135.9. Kroos is now 2nd with a 136.3. Looking to see who else is completing the lap. Well, I can say Mahelka, who was briefly fastest, is coming around to complete his latest lap. He's in P4 as we speak. We are seeing lap times come down more and more and more. Mahelka goes 2nd, a 10th off the pace. Arsenio goes... Well, I thought that was Arsenio for a moment, but it's not. It's Sterling, who goes up to 3rd position there in the 20 Mercedes AMG. Arsenio now goes 3rd. So he's on to the 2nd row of the grid, is the Portuguese. Looking to see who else is looking to make their way up the order. We've got the 79 of Chris Gedman coming through as well. And it's a radically improved lap time from what he did before, but it's only good enough for 21st position. He's in the 79 Porsche in a radically changed livery to what he has been using throughout this season. Rather nice livery, I have to be put in it. I suppose at the end of the season, when you've not been at the top of your game, why not have a go with this livery? Gedman has had a tough season, languishing at the back throughout most of the campaign. Not certain as to which tier he'll be in next season, but I think given his performances in this tier, it may be better for him if he was in tier 2 with the Pro-Am, Silver and Am drivers, if that makes sense. Because there's 3 different categories within tier 2. In tier 1, they're all pro categories. In tier 2, in at who's in there, you've got the Silver, the Pro-Am and the Am. So in terms of how those in tier 2 have been getting on throughout the campaign, just want to get some info on where we are with, well, in the Silver category, because they're all separated into different classes, you see, and therefore different championships. Because looking at where they are in the Silver category, Alberto Aragonés won the championship overall with 275 points, with Cameron Blair finishing in P2, Craven in P3 ahead of Paul Trotman. Will we see any of those in Tier 1 next season in the Pro category? Do let us know what you think should be in Tier 1 next season. Melvin Kroos has gone to the top with a time of 135.6, a 10th faster than Michael Kleiboer. Conor Byers is in 4th place behind Mauro Arsenio, so he's doing rather well there in the 74 Audi. And Geoffrey Godefroy, who has had a very mixed season, consistent in qualifying, but in the races where it really matters, hasn't been able to replicate the potential of what he's been able to do. Many mistakes throughout the season really has derailed his championship hopes. We are seeing more and more lap times coming in, and they're not actually improvements as far as I know from before. Nico Busov and Will Freeman, for your information, will be starting from the back of the grid. They've both mutually agreed that they are going to do a comeback drive through the field. It's a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included. Now, in terms of refueling, is optional to the drivers, but changing tyres is mandatory. You've got to take it before the 1 minute window. So far so good for Melvin Crows on top right now, as Connor Byers is being demoted to 5th place behind Ed Sterling. And Clive Bowett is in P2 behind Crows with 135.6. Herman Markowski doing a reasonable job there in the 174 Lamborghini. In 9th place, Damian van der Waal down to 10th. Not able to improve on this occasion. Juho Mäkinen, who was putting out some stonking laps last week in Zandvoort, only P11, 8 tenths behind Crows. See, the headlights are coming on in these cars, but thankfully it won't be too dark before this race gets underway. I don't know for certain what time the race start is going to be, so if any of you do know what time that will be, then feel free to let me know in the comments. Van Nyshout is going to be to 4th place in the 100 McLaren. Next over the line is the 69 Lamborghini of Mateusz Dybul, who goes up to 16th place ahead of Farklov and Vissel. Got Chris Gedman coming through in the 79. He does not move up the order, nor does he improve his lap time, I don't think. Morgan Grace doesn't improve. Now, Mäkinen is down to 12th place, needs to get himself up the order. Doesn't on this occasion, but I can tell you that Melvin Crows is able to extend the margin to Clive Bowett. He's now nearly 3 tenths clear with 3.5 minutes remaining. Sanyo in P3. Van Nyshout, Sterling, Byers, Mihalka, Godefroy, Hutchinson, who's up there in a strong P9. Brilliant lap there by Hutchinson, who's been in that 22 BMW for quite a long time now. I don't know how long he's been using that BMW. Isn't it since the beginning of the year at least? He's down to 10th place now because someone has moved up the order. I think that's Damian van der Waal who's gone up into 9th place now. Koski down to 11th spot. Rose is coming through once again. Is this going to be an improvement on before? It's not. See who is on a lap. I want to go to Van Nyshout, who's coming through once more in the McLaren. 4 tenths off the pace so far. Is he able to improve? The answer is no on this occasion. Byers. Lucky season, really. And in the championship so far. He's done too many of the races in all honesty, although he did miss Zandvoort last week. And because he was a late checkout, he has had 5 points deducted from his championship total. And he's changed cars during the season, has Connor. On this occasion with the lap time. Kleibo does improve his lap time, but he's still behind Crows. Get another couple of laps in. Go on it. Respectable race last week in Zandvoort. Performance was good enough to see him come home in 12th place, his best result of the season. There is Jan Spike in the 987. In terms of how he's been getting on, he's only done 4 out of the 8 rounds so far. It's a result of 16th in Laguna Seca. It's coming round now. He'll get one more go at this. It's 21st place. Does he move up the order with this lap? He does not. They are all coming through now to complete their last times, or one of their last times we should say. Mihalka goes 6th fastest ahead of Byers. Byers is pushed down the order Clyboa is in the pit, so he is not going to be on pole position. Senyo, who is on his last time lap. Third place right now. He's got quite some margin to get ahead of Clyboa and Crows. Got to give it a good try. Byers goes up to P3. And he'll get one more go at it if he's got enough fuel left in there. And it doesn't look like he has. No, he's coming. He's pulling off the track. And that is his session run. So third is the best he can hope. Checker flag is out now, so anyone on their last laps can complete it. Arsenio is hoping for an improvement, but he does not improve his time, and he'll stay in P4. Crows comes into the pit, so he's not going to be improving his lap time either. Van der Waal goes up to 5th place in the McLaren, ahead of his compatriot Peter van Lyshout. Comes around the last corner then. The McLaren, can he go back ahead of Van der Waal here? Did improve his time ever so slightly, but it's not enough. Stays where he is in 6th. Got the 147 coming through. That is Godefroy, who's aiming for an improvement on 10th. And he does not go up the order with that. Seen the last lap times coming through. Chris Gedman is coming through. He's in 22nd place. Just under a couple of seconds off, so that's not a bad effort by Chris. And Begansen coming through. And he does not improve either. With the last drivers are Bas Brinkhoff. Bas Brinkhoff is actually the last driver to complete a flying lap. He's run wide and he's coming into the pits. So that completes qualifying then. The last pole position has been sealed by Melvin Crows, the race winner of Zandvoort last week. He is starting at the head of the pack with Michael Clyboa in P2. Conor Byers and Mauro Arsenio are next behind in 3rd and 4th, with Damien van der Waal and Peter van Lyshout in 5th and 6th. Ed Sterling and Cameron Mikowski are next on row 4, ahead of Arkadiusz Michalka and Jeffrey Godefroy, who round out the top 10. Ben Milden and Juho Makinen are on row 6, ahead of Stuart Hutchison and Bas Brinkhoff. Luke Prentice and Matej Dybel are on row 8, followed by Farclough Bissell and Morgan Grace. Chris Faster and Jan Spike rounding out the top 20, ahead of Mauro Begansen and Chris Gedman. Steve Kowana and Joel Leher were the last of those to complete laps. At the back are the top 2 in the championship who did not set lap times, but they had planned to not do so, are Nico Busov and Will Freeman. Keep an eye on those two as the race gets underway. I'm going to have a quick drink, and I'll be back before the formation lap gets underway for the last race of Taco Tuesday in Season 11. Hello and welcome back. The 26 drivers are raring to go for the start of the final race on Taco Tuesday for 2023 and close down the curtain for season 11. Both crowned champion Will Freeman, vice champion Lamborghini, manufacturers champions of the pro category of Taco Tuesday. Now all that remains is who's going to get third place in the championship, who's going to come away with the spoils and take the last victory of the. Let us know what you've been up to recently. A minute to go before the start of the race, and Melvin Crows, I can't even remember the last time he's been on pole for Taco Tuesday, but bearing in mind Busov and Freeman didn't set lap times in qualifying, so that kind of maybe dilutes the achievement for what Melvin Crows has done. But to be fair, it was Busov and Freeman's choices to not head out there. They want a challenge. And it's under the lights in Indianapolis. No, I won't press drive until after the race has started, so we'll just stick with what we've got in front of us. Drivers should be moving away on their formation lap, and here they go. We'll run down on the grid for the last race of the pro category in Taco Tuesday for 2023. Melvin Crows on pole with Michael Clyburrow alongside. Got Connor Byers with his best qualifying of the season so far, or best qualifying of the whole campaign, in third, ahead of Mario Arsenio, Domin van der Wal and Peter Van Lyshow in 5th and 6th. Ed Sterling and Kamil Makowski make up the 4th row of the grid, ahead of Arkadiusz Michalka and Jonathan Godefroy. Ben Milden and Juho Mäkinen, who was on pole last week, but 12th will have to do for the start of this one. Stuart Hutchinson 13th, a great effort from him, ahead of Bas Brinkhoff, who was a podium finisher last week. Luke Prentice and Matthias Dybel are on the 8th row of the grid, ahead of Farclough Vissel and Morgan Grace. Chris Foster and Jan Spike, presumably 2 HRT drivers, on the 10th row of the grid. Mauro Begantin and Chris Gedman are on the 11th row, ahead of Steve Caruana and Joel Leher. And at the back, the 13th and final row of the grid are the top 2 in the championship, Nico Busov and Will Freeman. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be starting from the pit lane then, so it should be 26 drivers raring to go for the start of this final race. Let us know who your money is on. Jamie's just coming in saying shout out to the SBR boys tonight. You're not the only one there, Jamie. Melvin Crows is on pole and he's looking to move himself up the order in the championship. The highest he could end up finishing, if he was to get the win and the fastest up, he would go on to 153 points. The highest he could mathematically finish is 7th. Bearing in mind, he did change cars during the course of the season. Now, the drivers are in their instructed rows of 70 kilometers an hour. They are eagerly anticipating the green flag, the important green flag from the marshal on the pit straight to indicate the start of the race. There's no rain expected as far as we know. 60 minutes plus a mandatory pit stop. Now, the drivers are coming around the last corner. We're ready to go for the start. The season finale here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the US. And Crows is looking to get off to the best of starts. Everyone is on the pit straight now, and the green flag is waved, and the drivers are off, with Melvin Crows reacting very, very well to the lights. And Michael Kleiber is looking to give chase in P2. As they look to the first corner then, Melvin Crows holds firm, but there's been contact further by. Mauro Arsenio's gone off the circuit. Arsenio is off the track, and he's losing a ton of places. It looks like he got hit from behind by Damien van der Waal by the looks of it. It might have been someone else, but either way, he's down the order, is Mauro Arsenio. But back at the front, we've got Crows leading with Kleiber in second place. And in third position is Connor Byers, but Arsenio has dropped back. So in fourth position, as we wait for the classification to update. So it's, at the moment, Damien van der Waal who's in fourth position behind Byers, with Ed Sterling fifth, Peter van Lyshout sixth, Akis Mahilka, Kamil Mikowski, Ben Milden and Stuart Hutchison are in the top 10. It looks like Steve Cowarner has had a moment off track as well on that opening lap. And the number 75 of Mauro Begantin has also been in the wars. I don't know how much damage he has had to his machine. Doesn't look like he's had too much there. Although that looks like on the front of the car. There's an off there though. That's the 320 who's gone off. It's Joel Leher who's gone for some lawn mowing on the exit of turn 8. Seen a few mistakes already. We've got the 100 also going off track. That's Peter van Lyshout, who was in the top 5 or top 6, and he's had a spin also, and he's down to 24th position. So a disastrous start for him, although 23rd place now because we've had a driver disconnect from the server. So we hope to see that driver back in due course. But lap 1 is done with Crows in the lead, and we're looking to see where the likes of Freeman and Busoff are. At the end of lap 1, they are 19th and 20th. So they are slowly but surely making their way through the field. We've seen a bit of action there. Oh, that's Milden, who's had a spin. I don't know who's come together with him there. We'll look to see who that is. Stuart Hutchison has also, I think, lost a place or two. And there's Godfrey making contact though, and he's pushed Hutchison off the circuit. I wonder if Hutchison has picked up damage from somewhere, maybe from that contact alone. It's not the best start to his race after a brilliant qualifying. Got the 100 in the pits. That is Peter van Lyshout who decides to get his mandatory stop done and out of the way. And we are seeing drivers getting their elbows out very much at the beginning of this race. There's a lot of action going on further behind as we see Juho Mäkinen and Jeffrey Godfrey go into combat. Mäkinen keeps hold of the place. Mauro Arsenio is in 8th position now after a dreadful start. Field are coming around to complete the second lap. Crows in business. Got the order perhaps into the top 10 of the championship. Doing all he can do. Set the fastest up of the race, given he's in the lead and he's approaching the end of the second lap. To see if there's anyone making moves further behind. Doesn't look like there's anyone making moves. Dybel is ahead of Grace, who's made a good start actually. He was 18th on the grid, he's now 13th. Hutchison comes into the pits. I would imagine he's had a bit of damage from contact with someone. Perhaps with Jeffrey Godfrey it was at turn 4. But Grace is in 13th place. Oh, and that's a moment there for Damien van der Waal. He very nearly dropped it. He gathered it all up, but it was enough for Ed Sterling to go through. Van der Waal down to 5th place behind the Brit as they come out of turn number 7. Van Lyshout is already down a lap. Imagine Stuart Hutchison will go down a lap once the field come round again. But the 713 also in the pits, that is Steve Cowarner. Decided to come in. I think it was one of the HRT boys that disconnected. I think it must be Chris Faster, who we've lost already, so that's a terrible shame. Busoff in 17th now, Freeman 18th. Taking their time, making their way through the field. Start battling with each other just yet. Go on board with Busov, who takes us for a ride through. Just seen some marks. Oh, that's a moment there for Ben Milden, who's dropped it. Now, has he avoided the barrier or has he hit the wall? I think he avoided the barrier, did Milden. He did very well to get away with it, but Freeman is also going to pull alongside and make his way through and up into 17th position. Move was coming all along, but Milden did not want to have to give it up like that. He's still giving Freeman a hard time of it, but Freeman is through and up to 17th position. Down a lap. Steve Caruana. Rose is 2.2 seconds clear of Kleiboer. Ed Sterling has the fastest up of the race so far. The number 20 Mercedes AMG. Watch second, third and fourth place drivers go into combat through turn 13. Certainly will be fancying his chances. He's very much in a feisty mood tonight. Want to try and get ahead before the likes of Busov and Freeman closing in on this lot later on. Way through at the moment there for Sterling. I want to go to Busov because he's behind for Vizzle out of the last turn. Now we're really going to see a change for position here. Busov is nowhere near alongside yet. Might need to be late on the brakes here to pull this move off if he can. Both braked at the same time into turn 1. And no change in position there. Mackinnon in 10th position ahead of Godefroy. Diebold 12th with Grace in 13th. And it looks like Connor Byers has gone off the circuit. He has. He's had a massive spin. And from 3rd place, he has dropped down to 12th position. I don't know if he made contact with someone. It's ahead of Sterling. I think the contact between the two has allowed Van der Waal and Mahilka to close in. Potentially we've got what was a 3-car fight for second. It's now all of a sudden become a 6-car fight. Because we've got Mikossi and Arsenio closing on this lot too. Crow's lead is now nearly 6 seconds. Is Crow's going to be making it 2 wins in a row. Fine way to round off the season. To the pit straight then, to begin lap 6. It's too far back to have a go on Van der Waal. Arsenio 7th ahead of Prentice, Mackinnon, Godefroy, Diebold, Byers and Grace. More picture. Busov is still behind for Vizzle, but can he be later on the brakes and get through on the Czech Republican? The answer is yes. That was a great overtake there from Nico Busov, and the Vizzle running wide has allowed Freeman to pull alongside of him, and he's also got through. So the yellow and pink livery cars, both of which in Lamborghinis, are slowly but surely making their way through the field, no problem. For Vizzle, who has had quite a tough season, it has to be said. He did finish 10th last week in Zandvoort, which is his best result of the season. He hasn't really kicked on from there. Don't know if it was just the wrong choice of car. Car is just not suited to his style of driving. But it's not quite worked out for him as well as he hoped. Crow's with the fastest up of the race, and the lead he's got now is 7.8 seconds over this battle for second place. Kleiboer, Van der Waal, Sterling, Mikossi, Mahilka, Arsenio are the 6 cars fighting over second place. No way through at the moment for any of the drivers. Busov is behind Brinkhoff now. He's in 15th place, is Busov. He's not going to be able to make his way through just yet. I don't know for certain how far Busov is prepared to keep his car out there for. Just looking at his bonnet very, very closely there on Busov's car. It's hard to see because of the darkness. Has he got some damage to his bonnet, I wonder? Because I wonder if the bonnet is lifting slightly. I don't think it is. And I'm looking at Will Freeman compared to how his bonnet is at the moment. I think Busov's bonnet is slightly damaged in comparison to Freeman, but it doesn't seem to be putting him off too much as the race continues to progress. We're over 10 minutes into the race now. We're on lap 7, and Crow's lead has increased even further to 8.5 seconds. Kleibo is still holding P2, but for how long? Van der Waal is ahead of Sterling, for your information, and he's in 3rd position now. Destined to end this season on high. Contact made though between Van der Waal and Kleibo going into turn 13, and Sterling's trying to pull alongside. Van der Waal goes through, but I wonder if there'll be an investigation later because Van der Waal gained a position by making contact with the Dutchman. So he goes through, Sterling's into 3rd place, and Kleibo is going to fall further down the order because he's got McCoskey and Maholka going left and right of the Audi, and they're both through too. So I think Van der Waal is going to be under investigation for that collision there, because Kleibo has lost out big time because of it. But now though, he's into P2. And all of this is helping Melvin Crowe stretch the gap out even more. And it's 10 seconds. Arsenio fancies his chances. This is an important battle actually, because these two are fighting for 3rd place in the championship. Kleibo was 3 points ahead of Arsenio coming into this round, so even if Arsenio was to get in front by a position, Kleibo will still finish ahead of Arsenio for 3rd position. Looking at where the other drivers are in the field, doesn't look like any of them are going to get 3rd place either, so at the moment it's still Kleibo's bronze medal position to lose. Carry on further. Sterling's through on Van der Waal for your information, so he's got through into P2 now, so another change for the runner-up spot. And Melvin Crowe could not have dreamt of a better start to this race than what it's already turned out to be so far. Looking further behind, Busov is in 14th place now. He's ahead of Brinkhoff. Well, he was for a moment. Brinkhoff is able to fight back and get back through on Busov. Busov cannot afford to lose too much time here. He needs to make his way through the pack and start challenging towards the front if he's going to win this race. Ben Milden's in the pits at the end of lap number 8. His mandatory tyre change. And Busov goes in too deep, and that allows Freeman to go through. So Busov went in too deep into turn 1, and Freeman was able to capitalise, go ahead. And back to the battle for P2 as Van der Waal and Sterling go side by side through turns 6 and 7. Sterling holds his ground and the place, and Van der Waal's going to have to fight it. Makovsky is ahead of Maholka into 4th place. Makovsky is having the race of his season so far. It's a shame we haven't seen any of this from Hemel throughout the campaign. It's very much coming on Son here today. Look at the drive and see, or find out what time the race is on. So 8:20 PM it is over in Indianapolis, and given how the race is going to go, it's going to be under darkness for the rest of this. So it may not exactly be how you want it to be, but it is the way it is. It's not my decision on what time the race is set at. Melvin Crowe is continuing to stretch out the margin more and more and more. It was 12 seconds at the end of sector 2, and I imagine it's going to be at least 13 when Sterling and Co cross over the line. It's 12.6. Van der Waal is fancying a go on Sterling into turn 1. Is he brave enough to have a go into the first corner? The answer is no. Kamil Bukowski's looking to close in. We're looking further back to see Arsenio go for a move on Kleiboer. Arsenio's dropped back a few positions, and Kleiboer is not giving it up, but he has to. And Arsenio was able to get through without the pair colliding. Now, had they collided, that would have opened up the race for third place in the Drivers' Championship even more. But Arsenio is through, as he needs to do, to have any hope of finishing in the bronze medal spot. And Kleiboer is not having a very good last few laps at the moment. He's down to 10th place. And looking at where they are in the standings, Arsenio would not go in front of Kleiboer. He would go in front of Sean Cool though. Looking at where Morgan Grace is actually further down the order. Godefroy is in 8th place, but he's nowhere near within range of leapfrogging Arsenio and Kleiboer. Rose is coming round to complete his 10th lap. 16 minutes into this race, but over a quarter of the way through. In terms of the number of laps we are going to have, we're looking at around about 38 laps at most. In P10 ahead of Dybel. Byers and Grace not too far behind. Freeman is still behind Grace, although he's actually in front of Brinkoff, who's down a position. Foster hasn't rejoined the race, unfortunately, so his night and season is over. Sterling right now looking very good for a second place finish. I wonder if Freeman and Busov are on heavier fuel loads, because they're not exactly ploughing through the field, though some might have thought. I think they'll be on alternate strategies, are Freeman and Busov. We'll wait and see. It's Grace running wide there. That may give Freeman and Busov. In fact, he's pulling out to the side. He's not actually fighting it out with Busov and Freeman. And that was very generous, in all honesty, from Grace to let them both go. He knew that if he started fighting with them, he'd end up losing more time to the cars ahead. Playing the long game, it seems. Freeman's in 13th position behind Matthias Dybel. Good to get in front. Freeman, who's won twice this season. Saker and Watkins Glen. Busov has taken victory 4 times. Rose and Arsenio picks up a win each, as Bas Brinkoff is the next to head for pit road. Gap between Crows and Sterling, just waiting for the gaps to update in sector 1. More than 13 seconds, it's 13.3. Mäkinen in P7, ahead of Arsenio. Godefroy and Kleiboer make up the top 10. In fact, Kleiboer is continuing to drop back at the moment. He's behind Godefroy. He's under threat from Connor Byers, who had been battling for second place earlier on in the race, as Busov tried to make a move on Freeman around the outside, and he ran wide on the entry. He had to lift off the throttle to avoid contact. Laps into this race, Sterling and Van der Waal in second and third, Makovsky fourth, Mihalka, Prentice, Mäkinen and Arsenio are going into combat. Arsenio in the 99 Porsche to pull alongside here. How much does Mäkinen fight it on this occasion? The answer is not very much, and Arsenio is up the inside, and 7th position goes in the way of the Portuguese, and he is through ahead of the Finn. Connor Byers moves in front of Clyboa now. And Dybel, Freeman and Busov will be fancying their chances. Nearly making contact with Dybel. I think he had to jump on the brakes to avoid touching the Audi of Clyboa at turn 4. Freeman is determined to get in front here. Won't want to lose any time now. We're already a third of the way through this race. And Dybel had to correct some oversteer there. That's going to allow Freeman to get into the slipstream and potentially have a go. Here he goes up the inside, late on the brakes goes Will Freeman, and that is a sensational overtake despite being on the curves, but the two make contact and Busov goes ahead of Freeman once more. Now that looked rather clumsy there between Dybel, who tried to get back through on the Lamborghini. Busov was able to take 2 places in one go there. Busov goes through, Freeman got through ahead of Dybel, but he lost the position. In fact, Freeman has lost time there. Oh, he's continuing to make contact with Dybel, who's gone off the circuit. Freeman went way too deep into turn 13, and Dybel went for a spin. And Freeman, I can imagine, will have picked up damage from the contact between him and Dybel during the course of that lap there. That is surely going to affect the handling of that machine. Rose is coming up to some back markers, the drivers who have already made their mandatory stops. Busov goes up to 11th place. He's running about a couple of seconds behind Connor Byers in the 74 Audi. Godify is behind Mäkinen, who are both on the back straight. Third position ahead of Mikoski. No mistakes from Mikoski so far. Hulker is in 5th place. It's Arsenio. Further away from Mäkinen and Godefroy. The gap between Byers and Busov was 2.2 in sector 2. It's now 2 seconds exact. Freeman comes into the pits. I think that would have been sooner than he would have liked to have been, but the handling affected by the contact with Dybel has prompted him to come in. It's Kroos in the race lead, coming up behind what looks like Peter van Lyshout. Ahead of Lyshout is the 713, and that's Steve Caruana. And they are actually back in full position, those two. Rose goes through to lap Van Lyshout. It's the second time he's lapped him, actually, thinking of it. Rose has yet to make his pit stop. Got a lot of time in hand. This has probably been the most dominant performance I've seen from anyone at this season. Kunaseka. How that race had ended up. Freeman won out by 3.5 seconds. Mount Panorama, the first race where Arsenio had won by 13 seconds, and that was in a 90-minute special. Got a yellow flag there. It's the number 14 who's had a moment, and it's Morgan Grace who's had an accident somewhere, and it looks like his race is effectively finished. Like his season is over. It's going to be adding to his tally today, unfortunately. Goes no further. Sterling and Van der Waal fighting over P2. And Prentice are next. Busov behind Byers in the battle for 10th. Will Freeman in 21st place after his pit stop. He's 5 seconds behind Kleiboer. Doesn't look like Freeman's going to be finishing on the podium tonight after that. Over the line once more. Soon to head out in the lead. Sterling and Van der Waal are still fighting over P2. So it's 1.5 seconds behind Byers, so he's started to close in on him once more. Seconds is the margin now. Crows absolutely flying. Certainly wish we saw more of this throughout the campaign from him. 2 wins in a row, just a little bit wide on the exit of turn 7. So much clear track ahead of him. Single lap of the race so far. We see Sterling and Van der Waal close in their battle. Busov behind Byers as they come turn number 8. Busov going way too deep though, and losing crucial ground in the battle. Van der Waal once more behind Sterling. When are these two going to decide to pit in? Well, I can tell you that Sterling is heading for the pits now. Van der Waal goes up to 2nd place. Koski goes up to 3rd. Maholka comes into the pits. Sonio decides to stay out there for another tour. Crows. One signs of weakness so far. So within the SBR, we'll be very pleased to see him bombing at the top of his game. Godefroy and Busov are in the pits for their mandatory stops now. Seconds is the margin between Crows and Van der Waal. Heading over the line to complete another lap. This will be his 18th lap completed. Long way behind Koski and Arsenio. Where is Busov? Because he's still in his box at the moment. Down a lap. Van der Waal comes in from 2nd place. Mikoski also heads for pit road, which will allow Arsenio to go through into 2nd position. Tell you what, Busov has been in his box for a long time. Freeman's going to go in front of him. Despite the repair work presumably that Freeman needed to have done, Busov is now going to be behind Ben Milden, and he's always going to be behind Stuart Hutchinson, as I thought as well. So Van der Waal, Mikovsky, Prentice, Byers and Spike are all in the pits. Melvin Crows as we are now into the second half of the race. That's Ed Sterling, of which Crows has lapped. Crows has yet to come in for his mandatory stop. Sterling on the fresher tyres can start hammer down and stay in touch with him. Looking at the battle there between Sterling, I think he's in front of Van der Waal by the looks of things, unless I'm mistaken. He is in front of Van der Waal. Effectively, Sterling is going to be back into second place once those ahead have made their stops. Arsenio comes in from P2, Mäkinen also in. Now what does Vervissel decide to do here? Decides to stay out for another tour, as does Dybel. Jansen also remains out there. Chris Gedman, Joel Leher, not sure what they are looking to do. I suppose they haven't got anything to lose, given it. Busov is behind Hodgson in 22nd place. Race to forget so far. Championship is already wrapped up for your information in favour of the Croatian. Crows continuing on his way. Sterling. Ahead of Arsenio and Mäkinen, no problem. Crows. It's a long way clear over Vervissel. Vervissel hasn't done 13 yet, he has done now. That's how far Crows is ahead of him. I don't think we're actually going to see what the gap is between those two. So maybe Vervissel has crossed over the line. We'll find out what the gap actually is. Can't provide you that information, unfortunately. Dybel is in the pits though from third position, as is Begantin. Player is looking to come in. Also, Chris Gedman to the pits, and in fact, there's a stop-go penalty being given to him for speeding in the pit lane. Gedman coming into the pits within the next 3 laps to get that served. Last corner then. Crows. Way clear of the rest. Still has to do his mandatory stop, but even if he takes that now, he'll be a long way clear of the rest. And the man who will be in second place once all the stops are done, is the man who's literally behind him on the road, and that's Ed Sterling. Crows in the race lead, Vogler Vervissel second, Joel Leher third. They are the only drivers who have yet to make their mandatory stops now. Got 25 minutes remaining. Complete that pit stop or enter the pit lane before the 1 minute signal. The 1 minute before the checkered flag. I'll tell you that Morgan Grace is still in the pits at the moment, but he's not rejoined the racetrack. Vervissel comes in from P2. Leher decides to remain out there for another lap. Melvin Krause actually comes in at the end of lap 22. There's no question that he'll keep hold of the race lead. Sterling looks to get into second place. It will be his first podium in the top tier of Taco Tuesday. Fine way for him to finish the season. So this round 12th in the championship on 122 points. The highest he can finish mathematically is 7th. 38 championship points would put him on to 160. In front of Ben Milden and the Prentice brothers. That may well be as good as it's going to get for Ed, but we'll see as the laps continue to tick down, as does the clock. Rose has exited his box now. Be still in the lead, no question. John Leher has entered the pit lane now for his stops, so everyone has done their mandatory stops. Rose will keep hold of the race lead. Sterling is only just coming around the last corner, and Kroos is already a long way ahead. In third place, but he'll most certainly be under investigation. Contacts he's been involved in with Michael Kleiboer. He's currently in 12th position. Will go up a position once he goes past Leher. Go up a position as well. Both down in a disappointing 21st position though. Race to forget. Not the fastest up of the race so far, but 21st position is going to be his worst finish of the season by far, which will be his dropped point score for the campaign. As it stands with the positions as they are in terms of the battle for third place in the Drivers' Championship, way of Mauro Arsenio, with Kleiboer down in 10th place. Arsenio was to remain where he is in 6th. Kleiboer has got to finish 7th or higher. At the moment he's in P10. Still on course for second place. Now, Van der Waals receive a 10-second time penalty, or 15 seconds, whatever it may be. That could elevate Arsenio up another place. Also help Mihalka's chances of finishing maybe 5th position if he's lucky, because Grace isn't going to be scoring, and neither is Sean Cull. Gap that Kroos has over Sterling. Gap is when Sterling goes over. It's 15 seconds. It's a commanding lead for the Dutchman. Very much on his way to his 2nd win in a row. Fine way to wrap up the season. Busov is in 20th position now. He's ahead of Leho, who's done his stop. Coming up behind Chris Gedman's lap is Busov. Gedman is down in 24th position. Behind Steve Caruana. Stefan Leisho, who's had a race to forget unfortunately, is way down in 22nd and very much out of sync. Lap 24 completed with 20 minutes to go. So we're looking at around about 36 laps for this event, probably 37 at most. What a race from Melvin Croes, dominated from start up to now. Sterling's second position, a cracking job from him. Here to Mihalka and Cameron Mikoski today as well. Freeman's in 12th place behind Byers. Off in 20th. Best that Busov can hope for is 18th, because Hutchinson's gap behind Ben Milden is 11 seconds. Taco Tuesday is not the only championship that the FRL stages. There's also the late night championship on the Thursday, the sprint series on the Sunday. Got monthly endurance races as well as sprint endurance races every other week. And for those who are into PC, there's the Team Sprint Cup on the Tuesday, along with the Rookies and Masters Series, the late night party event on the Friday, along with some monthly endurance races. As far as F1 2023 is concerned, there are two tiers on a Tuesday evening. There's a Friday tier. It's the Realistic Racing League on the Saturday, along with the 100% race distance same evening. And on Sunday there's like a Super Sunday tier system that is separate to the Tuesday one. Follow the league on Instagram. The link is in the YouTube description. Discord group that you can join as well. Have enjoyed the broadcast so far, do make sure you like and subscribe. It's coming up to lap Joel Leher, who's running in 21st position. Leher, who went into this round 22nd in the championship overall, his best finish being 11th in Snetterton. Limited number of points here, so you can go in front of Josh Clayton at season's end. We haven't seen Josh Clayton since round 6. Bit of a shame. See if there's any battles on circuit right now, because Arsenio is just ahead of Luke Prentice in the battle for 6th place, and Kleiber is all over the back of Byers for 9th position as well. Freeman is in front of Brinkoff for your information. He's up into 11th position. I don't know, I don't think that's the case. I think Godefroy has had a spin somewhere, and he's been off the circuit again, has Godefroy. Don't know what's happened there. But Godefroy, once again, as we've seen time and time again this campaign, has had an absolute nightmare. He's dropping places left, right and centre now. I don't know what's going on with this car. And now we are seeing an overtake, and that's contact made between Godefroy and Milden, who refuse to leave each other alone. Now surely that's damaged the car on Godefroy, and I think that could well spell the end of his race, because his car is handling so poorly, he's struggling to even turn around the corners. He's had an incident with someone earlier on in the lap. Godefroy comes in, and that could well be the end of his race now. Disappointing season by his standards. Busov, who goes up into 19th position. He's looking to make up another couple of spots. Is Murray again. Oh, that's an off there. Is that Chris Gedman who's just had an off there? I don't know for certain which driver that is. I'm looking to see what the car number is. It's Steve Caruana, who was down a lap actually on those two, so no need to worry about that. Go back to Busov though, and see Begantin make a mistake. Busov sees the gap and goes ahead. Or so he thought, because Begantin was able to get the power down soon enough to remain in front of the Lamborghini. Busov dives to the inside. Begantin stays ahead, Sparks flying off the McLaren. Busov is not able to make a move just yet. Brilliant racing nevertheless between the pair. It may only be for 18th position, but Busov is making a move up the inside, and Begantin leaves him room, does he? He looks to fight back. Busov tried to cover the line on the exit. Busov is finally through. And Godefroy is coming back onto the circuit now. Ahead of Chris Gedman is Godefroy, so he's rejoining 22nd position. Up between Kroos and Sterling is 19 seconds. Sterling 1.5 seconds clear of Van der Waal. And Arsenio is still in front of Prentice by a few seconds. Now we are seeing Mackinnon, who's in a lonely 8th place, a few seconds up the road from Conor Byers. I don't think it'll be too long before we see another overtake from Busov on Stuart Hutchinson this time. Will he be able to dispose of him? Rose is on course for the victory and the fastest lap. Stands, he'll go on to 153 points. They're in front. Moment ahead of Luke Prentice, Jack Prentice, and Ed Sterling. I think possibly no, he won't go in front of Ed Sterling. He'll go in front of Dennis Novak. So I think Kroos will move up 3 positions, which as it stands will see him be 11th. Final reckoning. Sound much as Arsenio looks to get through on Makovsky for 5th position. Third place seems to be heading his way as we know it. Hulker, who's further ahead, is on course for 34 championship points, which would see him go on to 181. Enough for him to leapfrog Jeffrey Godefroy, Morgan Grace and Sean Cole. Now we are seeing a battle between Makovsky and Arsenio for 5th position now. Now the battle for 3rd could change. These two come together. Makovsky's had a very strong race tonight. We want to spoil it now by getting himself into some trouble with Arsenio. Just for a way through. Makovsky sees it coming though. Ahead for the time being, and Busov's dropped back behind Begantin. He's made an error somewhere, has the champion. It's nearly a lap down on Melvin Kroos now. So he's just over 10 minutes away from victory. 2nd in a row. Taco Tuesday year of 2023 in style. It's been by far the most dominant I've seen anyone win from. He's over 20 seconds ahead in the lead. Had Busov and Freeman not elect to start from the back of the grid, I think would have seen a different race. See Arsenio, who is behind Makovsky in the battle for 5th still. He's looking for a way through. Around the last turn. trying to take a different line to what McCoskey's doing. Get into the slipstream and have a go, but it's not quite a way through just yet. Around turns 3 and 4. Sonio. Able to make his way through still. Back for more though. Too long left to go in this race now. But Arsenio still fancying that 5th place. See, doing very, very well to keep hold of that place. This has been by far his best performance this season. Poland, 23rd in the standings, 8th last week in Zandvoort, and 5th this evening. Lamborghini. Let's 32 championship points, which will take his total to 112. He'll go in front of Joel Lahert, he'll go in front of Josh Clayton, Farclough for Bizzle, Matthias Dybel, Matthias Giggle, Van Leishout, I'd have thought as well. It's faster. And Adam Sharp. Go up into 15th position from 23rd Will McCoskey as it stands. Arsenio determined to take that 5th place away from him. He's up the inside, is Arsenio. McCoskey leaves him space. Now, the Porsche is still there. McCoskey runs wide a little bit. That might give Arsenio the advantage that he needs to pull alongside and get through. But McCoskey is able to hold his nerve once more. Brilliant racing between the two drivers. Hopefully it will stay that way until the checker flow. Arsenio goes off though. He's run wide, and that allows Luke Prentice to go through. Arsenio losing 2 championship points there. I'll give Kleiber a little bit of encouragement. Nearly dropping it on the approach to turn 6. He's still behind Conor Byers in 10th place. Now, he needs to move up the order, or for Arsenio to drop back even further. Arsenio, though, he's looking to get back ahead of Prentice after losing that position. Sterling in P2. Leading by 22 seconds at 5 laps left. In the pits, decided to call it a day, in which most of the way he has struggled compared to the others, and as to which tier he'll be in next season should he decide to continue. Got McCoskey, Prentice and Arsenio fighting over 5th position now. A handful of laps left. Arsenio is still waiting to make his move, but he'll be living with himself for losing that place to Prentice by running wide. Now we are watching move from the Lamborghini on the fellow Lamborghini because he runs wide and Prentice goes through. Does Arsenio go through as well? He does go through. Arsenio gets through ahead of McCoskey. The two nearly make contact. McCoskey nearly dropping it on the exit of turn 14, but he has to give it up. And he's lost 2 positions. Prentice goes up to 5th, Arsenio 6th. Clyburgh has got ahead of Byers at last now. But the bad news for him is that Arsenio's moved back up a place. Byers feels that 9th place is still there, and he's into the slipstream and seems to have more straight line speed than what Clyburgh has. They are running the same car. Byers is round the outside. Now the two thankfully don't make contact. Freeman is waiting for his opportunity to make his way through as well. Busov is in 19th position and just want this race to be over now. And Freeman is up the inside of Clyburgh, and that's enough to go up into 10th position, back up into... I was going to say back up into the points, but he's in the points anyway. Top 30 finishers score points in the FRL on ACC. Sterling's in 2nd position, ahead of Demian van der Waal. Rose out on his own. 22.7 seconds clear. 3 laps away from the checker flag now. The drive it has been from him. Francis and Arsenio are fighting over 5th place. Arsenio determined to get through this time. Turn 1, Francis takes a tight line. Arsenio has a look. Turns 1 and 2. It's not quite an opening for him to make his way past yet, but he's run wide again, this time at turn number 4, and Arsenio is going to lose the position surely to McCoskey, and he has done. Arsenio goes down a position, but the good news for him is that Clyburgh is down in P11, so it will still be enough for Arsenio to seal 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, but he cannot make too many more mistakes from here on in. Now Freeman is looking to make his way through on Byers this time for 9th place. At least he's made more of a recovery drive of it today than his arch rival Nico Busov has done. Freeman is behind Byers in the battle for 9th place. Turn 14, deep, Byers, Freeman together. 2 laps to go for Melvin Crows. On before he starts his last lap here. And looking for a way up the inside. Does he go for it to turn 1? He tries to. Byers leaves him space. Perhaps too much space. But Freeman is able to stay behind. In at the battle for 5th place, it's too far apart now. I think Arsenio's gone down another position because he's made another error, and Juho Mäkinen is able to go in front of him. Has Arsenio picked up an issue here? The car is wandering round, and I don't think he's going at the pace that he should be going. Melvin Crows has started the final lap of the race. And you can tell that Arsenio is struggling to get the car slowed down in the corners. Now he's got 8 seconds in hand over Byers. Now Arsenio could still afford to lose 1 more position and still finish ahead of Clyburgh for 3rd place in the championship. Not afford to make any more mistakes from here on in. There's Freeman in 10th still behind Byers. And Clyburgh could really do with getting ahead of these, so if he can do that, he'll finish in 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship. Melvin Crows has done a fine job in this race. Incredible job. The switch to the car that he is in from where he was earlier in the campaign has paid dividends. 25 seconds clear of everyone else, untroubled from the start. He has led every single lap of the race. Pole position, fastest lap, leading every single lap of the race, and the race win. Melvin Krause is coming round to complete 2023 in Taco Tuesday in phenomenal fashion. He wins at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the season finale of season 11. What a job he has done tonight. Ed Sterling will hold off Damien van der Waal. They're coming through the last couple of corners, but Ed Sterling can finish his season in a blaze of glory. He comes home in second place ahead of Damien van der Waal, who I would think will be under investigation for the contact he made earlier on with Clydesdale, I think it was. Mihalka comes home fourth. Luke Prentice made it through on Cameron McCoskey in the closing laps. He'll be fifth, with McCoskey in a respectable sixth place. Busov lapped down in 19th place, his worst result of the season by far, but that'll be his dropped score for the campaign. And we are seeing Mäkinen and Arsenio having a drag race to the line. Mäkinen holds off Arsenio, but we want to go to Connor Byers, Will Freeman and Michael Clydesdale. 9th, 10th and 11th they will be. That is enough for Mauro Arsenio to seal third place in the Drivers' Championship with the results. Says Dybel, Bas Brinkhoff, Varcliffe Epistle, Jan Spike, Ben Milden and Stuart Hutchinson are the last drivers on the lead lap. But there's your race winner. It is Melvin Krause in the number 23 Ferrari at the season finale in Taco Tuesday in the Pro category in the Formula Racing League in Indy. What a job by the Dutchman. 2 wins in a row to wrap up the campaign. And we hope to see more of that in the new year, because that is quite a stonking performance. Ed Sterling coming home in second place in the number 20 Mercedes AMG. Damien van der Waal provisionally in third place. Arkadiusz Mihalka fourth, with Luke Prentice fifth. Kalman Witkowski with his best result this season in sixth. Juho Mäkinen in seventh. Mauro Arsenio eighth, had a Connor Byers and Will Freeman who came through from the back to finish in 10th spot. Michael Clydesdale in P11 had of Matthias Dybel, Bas Brinkhoff, Varcliffe Epistle, Jan Spike, Ben Milden in 16th, had a Stuart Hutchinson, Mauro Begantin and Nico Busov in a lowly 19th spot. Joel Leher, Peter Van Lyshout, Jeffrey Godefroy and Chris Gedman were the rest of the finishers. Steve Corona, Morgan Grace and Chris Foster did not finish. The fastest lap went to Melvin Krause to round up a perfect evening for the Flying Dutchman. But at the end of the championship, the driver's title was already wrapped up 7 days ago in favour of Nico Busov. He'll go into the winter with a smile on his face and he'll look to defend his title in season 12. Will Freeman, runner-up. He'll be very happy with that as well. And in third place is Mauro Arsenio, who can celebrate with the bronze medal for finishing third there. Lamborghini take the honours in the Manufacturers' Championship. They've done a superb job throughout the campaign, particularly from the likes of Busov and Freeman, who have dominated the championship very much so. It's been a long season, and what a way to end it with a compelling season finale. And we look to do more of that in the new year of 2024. 2024, that is. All that leaves me to say is it's been a phenomenal season with plenty of drama and a lot of drivers celebrating victory in every way possible. And to end on a more poignant note, we'd just like to pay another tribute to the late Chris Jones, who we sadly lost in the early months of this year. I can imagine the family and friends of his had been through a torrid period because of it, and we want to send our thoughts and condolences to those who knew him very, very well. Of course, the friends of his within the FOL and those that know him or knew him from the FOL did a phenomenal job in dedicating his time in what he's done for the league. It's time to end the season, end the broadcast. my final commentary gig for 2023 is done. And I'll see you once again in... Congratulations to Nico Bosov, who is crowned the Season 11 champion. Have a good Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.